Hi everyone, trust you all are doing well. And what we have done in the previous lesson, we created our reply. So what I want the user to be able to do is I want them to be able to edit their reply. So if they're not happy with whatever they type, I want them to be able to edit their reply. Now the thing is, what we can do is we can actually, when we do this, we can do it in a new window. So if the user can click the edit button, and they will actually go to a new window. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is actually to do everything inside the one field right here. Now you might wonder how we can achieve this. Now how we can do this is we can use Livewire and Alpine.js to do this. To give you kind of a preview, if we go to our YouTube channel right here. Now, this is my comment right here. So I've typed in a comment. Now, if I want to edit this comment, you can see that it all is done in the same window. So if I type something, just press save. As you can see, it reloads the window and it just shows that it was edited and stuff like that. So that's one way that we can do this. All right. And this is all done with JavaScript. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be able to do this with Livewire and Alpine.js. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is let's go to our code editor and actually create a Livewire component in order to just display all the comments and things like that. Right, so let's go to our code editor. Right, the view that we have seen right there in your code editor, go to resources, views, then we'll have pages, then thread.show. This is the view that we have displayed right there. Okay, then for each of the replies, we actually looped over the replies, as you guys remember. For each reply is this reply like that. Okay, so this view right here, we will update and change. Okay, so let me go to our replies right quickly right there. All right, so let's create our Livewire component and actually put it in here. All right, so open up your terminal. All right, and let's create our Livewire component. So PHP artisan make, and then we're just going to say make Livewire. And I want to create a new component called reply, a folder called reply. And inside the folder, I'm just going to call the update method. Okay, so update class. Right, as you can see, if we go to app HTTP Livewire, you'll see now we got two folders in there. We've got our thread for the delete, right? And then for the reply, we got our update right here. Okay, so let's open up that component. All right, so this is basically our component. And if you guys remember from the VS code extensions, we can go to the view. So you just go to the view and let's just make this, just type in the text component. Right, so now we got our component right there. So we render that view. Right, so now let's hook up this Livewire component to our show view right here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our Livewire. Now, as you can see, since we got the Alpine.js or the Livewire, let me just show you the extension. Language support. As you guys remember from this one right here, we can be able to do this, what I've just done now. Okay, Livewire, and as you can see, it brings up the different methods for me. Now, the one that I'm looking for is the reply.update. Okay, and the one that I want is just going to be the reply, and that's going to equal to the reply. Okay, this reply right here. Okay, and then we're going to have a key field. The key field is going to equal to the reply ID. All right, this is just a way for Livewire to keep track of the different components, or let's say for each reply, basically to have a unique ID. We can even make it further unique by actually giving a unique identifier like OP or whatever you want to do and concatenate basically that in there. So especially if we have nested components. But for us, we just have to do it the key with the reply ID like that. Okay, so the inside this div for that view, we just can copy that div. Let me just go to this. Just copy that whole div like that. All right, and just in your threads folder, just create a new file and just call this show copy .blade.php. Okay, just do it like that, just a copy, because we want to use this later in when we actually want to fill in the data. Right, but for now we just want to hook up Livewire and just test to make sure everything is working. All right, and if you have the duplicate action, we could have done this duplicate file, and I can just call it blade.php like that. I could have just done that instead of actually do that, and it does. Let me just delete this file quickly. Right, and then you can just say duplicate and .php. All right, and now we got a copy of that quite easily in that extension. Let me just get it for you. Duplicate. It's called the duplicate action by ML. Okay, so you can just install the extension and you can do the same thing. All right, enough of that. So basically now this file, this little part, I'm just going to delete. Then I'm going to have my for each, and let me just put a closing tag at the end there. Right, so for each reply now, we've got our Livewire component right there hooked up. Okay, so let me go to our browser quickly. Now the copy, everything is still safe because we're still going to use this reply. This part right here, we're still going to use this part right here. But we're not going to use it now, we're just going to copy it later. All right, for now, I'm just going to leave it as is, quite safe. Right, so we're going to delete that folder anyway in a sec. All right, so now we got our for each, then we loop our Livewire component, and we add the reply right there and the key for it. Okay, so that way Livewire can keep track of that component. All right, so let's go quickly to the browser and see if we actually render this part right here, this component. Let me just call it Livewire. Okay, so if we render this component. Now, as you can see, since this thread has 3 replies, it's actually displaying all the replies right here. Quite nice. So we know that the Livewire component is rendered. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to check all the data and render the old data and things like that. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, as you guys remember from the copy, the one that we copied in that folder, now we go to that replies. Let's just go to it quickly. This reply right here. I don't want to confuse you guys. Okay, leave this one for now. We're going to get to that in a second. Right, let's go to your component, your reply component itself, because I want you guys to understand the process. Otherwise, I'm going to copy that over and people might get lost. So I'm going to explain it step by step. So this might be broke up into a couple of lessons, but so that you guys can learn. Okay, so what we're going to do in this one is we're going to create a public. Let's just go to a public mount method, so public function. Mount. In Livewire, the mount method right here is the same, almost the same as the public function, and we got our construct method right here. It's more or less the same thing. All right. So what we want to do now is we want to bring in that reply model. Okay. Just make sure you import it at the top. Okay. So we got our reply right there, and we pass the reply variable. Okay. Now, the next thing that we want to do is we want to create a public variable called old reply. Okay, and then what we want to do is this old reply is going to equal to our reply that we bring in, our model, and we just want to fetch the body. Okay, now in our view right here, the update view right here, I just want to render that old reply. Let's just see what it returns. Okay, Reason why I'm doing this, just step by step. If you already know this, this might be kind of boring to you, but for some people, they might not know. So I just want to go through the process, and sometimes we might learn something new as well. All right, so we got created a public variable called old reply. We mount our reply in there, and we just return our old reply to be the same as the reply body of our model reply right there. Okay, so let's see what it returns now. Now, as you can see, it returns all that reply that's created under this thread right here. All right, so it returns the things that we want to return. All right, so which is a very good thing for us. All right, so the next part that I want to do, I want to create a form quickly. Just remember, in a Livewire component, you have to have opening and closing div tags. The same as Vue.js or React. That's your main divs. Everything must be encapsulated with that div. Okay. But from React, what you can normally do is you can do a fragment and open it like this, or you can use a fragment, but for here, you just have your open and closing div. All right, let's just quickly create a div. And inside this div, you just want a form, okay? A form, and this is going to be a button. Just call it save for now. We're obviously going to change this a bit because we're going to use Alpine.js for a lot of stuff. But for now, I just want to just get the form more or less set up. We're going to change this a bit later as we keep progress. Now, the thing is, what we want to do is want to wire submit. Okay, so we want Livewire to actually handle the form. Okay, so we're just going to remove the action and then just prevent the default. So the prevent actually just means prevent the default, meaning don't submit the form. Basically, that's what wire.submit to prevent. And what we want to do is I'm just going to call a method inside my component called update. So in here, we're going to create a public function, and we're going to call this one update. You could have called this one save. You called this one boo, whatever you want. But this method and this method that you want here must be the same. Okay. But for me, update sounds more logical because that's what I want to do. I want to update. I could have done this, update reply. I could have done it this way. And then when I call on the method, let's just call it update reply. Okay, so just to make sense. So if someone reads your code, it makes sense what it does. Okay, so update reply, and I'm just going to do a die and dump method, and I'm going to call updating reply. Okay, just like this. And so let's go to our input right here. So if I press the save button, I need to actually, just to make sure that we can go to that form right there. Right, as you can see, we got our save button right here. So if I click it, right now, we get our updating reply right there. Quite nice. All right, so what we want to do, all right, the video is getting a little bit too long. As I said, I will break this up in editable sizes over the next couple of, you're probably going to see them all in one, but I will break it up quickly for you guys. All right, so what I want to do is now in the next part, what we want to do is we want to bring Alpine.js, where we can be able to just edit the field right here in this input right here. Okay, so as you can see, we're all hooked up and ready to go, and the replies are being shown right there. We're just obviously going to add a little bit more stuff to it and some meat to it and stuff like that. All right, so thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, please give it a like, and if you don't, please give it a dislike. And I want to use a little bit more advanced things in this series, as the basic stuff you can only get so far. And yes, so I want to show as much as I can. And if you guys like it, please give it a like so that other people might find it. All right, thank you guys, and see you in the next one.